There are not many games out there that are brave enough to do this very artistic, kind of stylized black and white artwork that this game features. But every single time I see it, it makes my heart happy because I find it really interesting and engaging. I like the vibe that it brings. And it does a really good job setting up kind of the theme of this game. Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today, my name is Carly and today we're going to be doing a preview for a brand new upcoming title from Homestead Games. This is Survivalist The Board Game. In Survivalist The Board Game, you and up to 6 other players will be finding yourself in an unforgiving wilderness, bruised, cold, and empty-handed. With just 8 nights until your body's reserves are depleted, can you craft everything you'll need in time? Now, at the time of posting this video, there is a current crowdfunding campaign for Survivalist over on crowdfunding right now. So I will make sure to have all of the relevant links in the description below for this video. So I just want to reference you over to that page so you can kind of check it out and see the more finalized kind of ideas that they have for it. Another thing I wanted to mention is during this crowdfunding project is there will be some deluxe kind of add-ons and goodies and stuff that will be available. So again, I just want to reference you over to that crowdfunding page and you can kind of check out more of that. Now, this is one of my typical preview videos. If you're new to the channel and don't quite know what that means, first off, welcome to Board Game Buzz. We're so happy to have you here. If you wouldn't mind liking, subscribing, and doing all the good stuff to support me, I would really appreciate it. But this is, again, one of my preview videos where what I'm going to do is go into kind of a general overview of how this game operates and plays before sharing everything that I enjoyed about it and who I would recommend this game for. So if you're interested in this game, then just keep watching and let's dive into the video. Alright, so let's go ahead and dive into this overview now. A standard game of Survivalist is going to be played over 10 rounds, and the goal of this game is to be the longest surviving member. And primarily, everything that you're trying to be doing is avoid being wounded by collecting resources and crafting various items to bypass, bypass threats that will be happening at the end of the game. What I have currently set up is a game for 4 players. Again, you can play this game from 2 all the way up to 6 players, but I just have this currently set up for 4. Again, this is a very general overview, but just to kind of give you an idea, you have some basic tools over here along with some expert tools that we will be crafting, as you will see in a little bit. We also have some resources here that you can potentially get throughout the game, along with potential actions that you can take and threats that you are going to inevitably have to face here in the country. But we're going to take a pause for a second and talk about an individual player board. Up here at the top of the board is primarily going to show you your health. Now, as the game goes on, you will slowly be collecting discs from this little bag here, and those are lots of the discs in here are essentially showing the harm that you are taking as you're going out through this wilderness. You have 4 spots here that can hold your damage, and every single damage, it only holds a maximum of 3. If you ever draw tokens from the bag that will cause you to exceed your maximum 3 anywhere on your body, then you are actually going to pass out. So you definitely have to kind of manage that a bit. Thankfully, though, you do have medication that you can potentially get throughout the game, and you can actually spend these to throw that disc, which normally would have caused you to pass out, back into the bag and try again and redraw. And you can continue to do that for as many medications as you have. So that's something that can potentially help you. Another thing though, not only just physical wounds, but you are also dealing with exposure. So as one of the colors that you can potentially pull from this bag as the game goes on are these blue discs, which will potentially freeze you out as well. So now that we kind of have a general idea of what you are balancing on your personal player board, kind of what this looks like, let's pivot and chat about the main board and what actions look like. I'm going to start by explaining how the first 8 rounds of the game will go. The final couple of rounds change things up just a bit, but for the most part, this is how most of the game plays. The very first thing you're going to be doing is selecting actions. Now, there are a handful of different actions that you can choose from, and players in turn order are going to be selecting them with their little meeple. You have the backcountry actions, the clearing actions, along with the campfire actions. So let's chat about how those operate. When players choose backcountry options, they will place their meeple. Every single spot has a couple of different things that can possibly trigger. The very first thing is drawing tokens from a bag. The next thing is kind of a main action, and then the last thing that can possibly happen is selecting something from this drop zone. which again is kind of like another action in and of itself. So let's first chat about drawing tokens from the bag. Because I placed my little character here, I will draw 3. So I'm going to come into this bag here and draw 3. I think I have 3. Yep, 3. So as you can see, I definitely took some damage here. So these are going to go right onto my player board with the matching color. So I'm definitely kind of starting to hurt a little bit, which sucks. I also drew a yellow though. Now yellow it's actually good things that are happening while you're stuck out here in the wilderness. But the tricky part about these is as you draw them, they will actually not get returned to the bag. They will actually exit the game. So the more good things that you draw, yeah, that's great momentarily, but you also know that those are inevitably slowly being depleted from the game. So good for right now, maybe not so good later on. Every single action here in the backcountry, that's the first thing you're going to be doing is drawing tokens and adding them to various areas. The next thing that you're going to do though is an action. So let's talk about some of them. So the first is forage. When you choose to forage, you will come to this valley here and randomly select one of these tokens. You can also gather, which means coming to the ridge. This gathering is better essentially because you are able to kind of see what you will be gathering. Some of these locations might have you gather more or less. So that's why kind of your turn order is kind of important, because if somebody before you happens to go to the ridge and get that one item that you really need, then well, you kind of out of luck a little bit, makes it a little bit more difficult. The final thing that you could potentially do, which some actions have them, some don't, which is coming to this drop zone and selecting essentially an action. Some of these actions allow you to heal all of one color or just heal one wound. Some allow you to gain fire or even steal fire from your opponents, or summon and kind of move reapers around, which we haven't quite talked about yet. So this drop zone, just kind of think of it as getting help from above, essentially. One really important action though that is going to be happening in this backcountry is this crafting action. So you can see you have basic tools that you can craft as well as expert tools, and essentially how you pay for these are going to be the resources or that you are trying to collect. So if I wanted to craft this boiling bowl, I would need a bone, some wood, and some rock. If I had that, then I could craft this, which essentially just brings this item down here. Now why this is important, again, you kind of see a little bit later on, but these threats are going to be coming into play soon, and every single one of these items is essentially giving me defense to some of these threats. So after this backcountry here has been completely resolved, then you are going to move to the clearing and the campfire. Now the clearing, if you were to go here, for example, it's also important to note that at the backcountry, only one meeple can go on every single one of these spaces. The clearing and the campfire, any amount of meeples can be placed here. So that's something important to note. But this clearing allows you to heal too, as well as remove some exposure, some cold that might be kind of on you. And the campfire allows you to warm up quite a bit. You actually can remove 3 kind of cold tokens as well as heal 1. So the clearing and the campfire just help you kind of rest, warm up a little bit. Once all the players around the table have resolved their actions, everybody will collect their meeple, and then actually a bed down is going to occur. Now this occurs, I believe it's 7 times throughout the game in between rounds. And then you essentially go into the next round. So again, this is how the first 8 rounds are essentially going to take place. These last final rounds though are kind of unique and different. So let's chat about what they mean. So this 9th round is actually you're actually not going to be using your meeple to activate a location. Actually, everybody is going to reveal their secret skills and then activate these. So for example, my secret skill for this one says I can turn in kind of this leather or this hide, one of them to heal up a little bit. Every single time you do these exchanges, you can only actually do the exchange once, but you can do all of them one time if you want to. This final round of the game is all about facing these nasty threats that are essentially looming over you. Everybody's going to take their meeple, and starting on the lowest threat, slowly working your way up, you're going to be facing these threats. So the first one is thirst. So at the end of the game, if I didn't have a resource, like if the game really did end and I don't have a resource or a tag that is matching this thirst, then it means I am unprotected from it. If I am unprotected from it, then I'm going to come to this bag and I'm going to draw 2 tokens out for every single reaper that is on this particular location. And again, I'm kind of fast forwarding through the game now, but in a typical game, all of these reapers here are actually going to be filling up these slots. So they will get way more powerful and way more of a threat and a danger as the game goes on. So in this current example, Thirst, there's just one Reaper, so I'm going to go ahead and draw out 2. Now in this example, I actually can fit this on my player board, so I'm good. I've successfully managed to get past Thirst, but now we're going to move up to Storms. And we're going to do the same thing throughout all of these threats, and everybody's going to be slowly moving up. If you ever draw from the bag a token that you cannot fit on your player board, then you die and you are out. So you are essentially just trying to make it up this chain as fast as you possibly can and as far as you possibly can, because if you don't, then you die. So whoever makes it furthest up this track is considered the winner. It is important to note you don't necessarily have to make it to the top. You just have to be the one that survives the longest, essentially. There are times where you can potentially end this game in a tiebreaker. When that happens, every single one of these items that you will be crafting actually has a point value to it. So you would, let's see if I show an example. So for example, this bow and arrow here has 29 points. So you would add up your points on all of your items, and whoever has the most items or the most points in that case would be considered the winner. So having said that, hopefully that gives you kind of a general idea of how this game operates and plays. But let's go ahead and jump into everything that I enjoyed about it. I want to kick this off by chatting about the artwork in this game. There's really, and I know I mentioned this at the beginning of the video, there's really only a handful of games that I've seen that have done this black and white artwork, and I always find it a really interesting choice. I'm like, ooh, that's really bold, that's interesting, and I really like how it comes across in this game because it's not purely black and white. There is some color, and so when you do see the color, it really pops, and I really like the look of it aesthetically on the table, and I think it works really well with the theming of this game too, right? You're lost in the wilderness. Like if I was lost in the wilderness, this is kind of the vibe that I think it would give me, is just black and white, just terror, trying to survive. So I found that the artwork and the look of this game really paired well with the theming of it. I found these little yellow tokens of like sunshine and happiness also really fun from a thematic level. As you would draw them, and all of a sudden you'd be like, oh, it was a good day. Like I really don't take that much damage today. Wow, that's awesome. But then you also know that the more happiness you draw, you're also less likely, every single one you draw, you're less likely to draw in the future. And I actually really did kind of found that worked is in the beginning of the game, right? When you're first kind of in the wilderness, yeah, you actually do kind of, you seem more happy, you see more goodness in the world, right? You have those good things, but then as the game goes on, you get closer to this kind of impending doom that is happening, you see less and less of those good things happening. So again, coming back from a thematic standpoint, it really did work for me. I will say though that my favorite thing out of everything of this game was the puzzle of balancing trying to stay alive on this personal player board here. I like bag pulling games in general, and I found that fun of taking more threats and taking threats and then trying to balance, okay, when am I going to the clearing and when am I going to the campfire? Because when you heal or when you warm up from your exposure, you don't do all, like for the most part, there are some abilities that allow you to like heal completely or something, but you don't just completely heal. Usually you just heal 1 or 2. So it became a really interesting puzzle of when is it worth it for me to give up one of these kind of better actions in the backcountry to warm up at the campfire, right? I also liked the items that you were crafting. I found that puzzle fun. And again, you have your backpack here of items you can hold, but you only have 5 spots. So you really have to be really, what's the word I'm looking for? Is it precise? It's not precise, but I'm just going to say it anyways. We're going with precise. You have to be precise about the items that you're collecting and what you are specifically going for. Because of that interesting switch up in kind of the round structure for this game, I think this game will appeal to you if you are a gamer that kind of likes almost kind of like a grind feeling to that end payoff. Because that's kind of what it feels like, right? The first handful of rounds are kind of the same. You're kind of doing stuff, and it really kind of comes down to that final round as to who was able to get the appropriate tags and be able to make it up the track. So I think if you enjoy that in your gaming, this is one you might want to look out for. Again, I will have all the information in the description below for this video, so if you are interested in this game, definitely want to recommend you going over to that crowdfunding page and checking that out. But there you go, that is my preview for Survivalist by Homestead Games. I want to give them a special shout out for helping sponsor this preview for you today. I really hope you enjoyed it. And again, if you are new to the channel, if you wouldn't mind liking, subscribing, and doing all the good stuff to support me in the channel, I would really appreciate it. But until next time, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you later.